in the Guildford Institute Library. It's a lovely place, as you can see. The book was taken out last week. Rob, who works here, has told me, and it was last taken out in 1927. So that's the sort of history. Right, this is this is the tale of two books. One was The Smell of Purple, which launched a New Delhi Poetry Festival, and then come just before COVID, we thought it sold out. We thought, let's republish this. So we republished just in time for COVID to shut us down. This was the book I was writing at the time, and that went west. But now they're back together again. So, this is called Mr. Daddy Soft Soft. I read this, and the Indian people really like this. Indian people, when they go to a poetry reading, they bring everybody. All the kids, Mammy, Daddy, Granny, the cat, and they're all in front of you. And a guy will have his daughter on his lap, his son at his foot, another little girl like this, and wow, it's fantastic. And when I read this poem, it cut across the world like this, they all came up to me and said, that's just like my little girl. Or little girls would run up to me and said, it's me, it's me. So I'm really fond of that for this reason. It's called Mr. Daddy Soft Soft. Always her fascination with me shaving. This her early morning ritual, observing each action as if it were holy. I hide my face in foam. Santa Claus, she chants. Winces with delight as the razor goes over my bump without slicing it off. The shaving uncovers the meat she knows. Soft, soft, Mr. Daddy soft, soft, she gurgles in a lather of laughter. Me now, she pleads with me. Me now, me now, me now. I take the brush, coat her reflection with foam. I shave her with the tip of my little finger. Her reflection sniggers, and she sniggers too. Later in the early evening, she appears bearded in fresh cream. She shaves herself with a lollipop stick. Me daddy now, see? I cha-cha-cha on the tips of my toes as she clings to my fingertips. The living room dances around us. One delighted, half-shaped little girl. One delighted, soft, soft Mr. Daddy. Thank you. And of course, the title of the book, The Smell of Purple. As you can see, I'm wearing a purple shirt. I used to have a purple scarf, purple fedora, purple suit, everything. She liked purple, so I dressed in purple for her. And she came in one day with an amazing thing. And she'd never told me about this before. It was just something that I know two poets, when I read this, they said, yeah, me and my sister did that too. And she said that she could smell colours. And I thought, and of course I said, Dad, I said, oh, what does this smell like? What does orange smell like? What does blue smell like? And she was totally exasperated that I didn't know. And, so this is her 3-year-old explanation of this. The smell of purple. She says she can smell yellow. She says she can smell blue, despite not being able to spell either colour. Yellow smells the same as blue, you know, like a wet kitty drying by the fire. Red smells like Mammy when she kisses. Her kisses smell different when she kisses you. Then she smells like flames with little orange tips. Purple is my favourite smell. It smells just like a magic spell. I kiss her goodnight like lilac, only lighter, with little flecks of purple scattered here and there. And it's called I Feel Pretty. Oh, so pretty. Tilly would invariably come into our bedroom at 4 and 3 o'clock in the morning and dive bomb us. Is that something you want to get in, love? And, you know, we were a sort of mountain landscape of female and male flesh, and you'd have this little girl coming and going, boom! And she'd land on very soft parts, and it hurt quite a lot. We'd been to a cocktail party, darling, and we were very, very hungover. And Tilly would still come in at 4 o'clock. So it wasn't very nice. I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. I awake, covered in glorious glitter, smelling strongly of PVA glue, sticking to my cheek, very hung over, and covered in blue, orange, red, yellow feathers. A bubble recently blown perched upon my nose. I still half comatose. Tiny bubbles travel amongst my curls, as through a bigger bubble brightly, nestling neatly over my right eye, I observe my tiny daughter purse her lips and kiss more bubbles into being. Tilly! I force my lips, still frozen in sleep, to somehow speak. What do you do? See, even my syntax and sentence structuring is shot. She smiles sweetly. I'm prettying you. I had brought her to France, and she'd never been to a farm before. The great thing about a 3-year-old girl is, if you're a poet, you should always keep a 3-year-old girl in the crop of your arm, because she creates the world. Isn't that right, Cut? In her image. And there used to be the catechism. Who made the world? God made the world. But when you got a 3-year-old girl, Tilly made the world. So she was amazed at everything. And the smell of the light. Tilly tells me she adores the smell of the light. Watches intensely as I fiddle with the wick of her battered kerosene lamp. I smile as her eyes light up. Love how she loves everything with a passion. Adore is her newfound, much-used word. So now she adores the rich ritual of lighting the lamp and all its accordant magic. Hand in hand we scatter the darkness that snarls and reluctantly backs away, but then creeps back behind us, its tongue lapping at us, licking its lips as if it would swallow us up, but is afraid of the smelly light. The wind tries to blow us out. Scared, she clutches me all the tighter. I don't like the way the light makes the darkness darker. Her voice shivers. I catch her up in the crook of my arm. She cuddles closer as we walk towards the barn, adrift in a sea of darkness. We, the only speck of light, no stars tonight. We, the light of the world. The pregnant cow lowing as if it knows we're coming. Tilly nuzzles into me, a frightened little mouse, jumping when an owl demands of it. Whoo, whoo, whoo! Your chest is too tickly, she complains sleepily. Ah, yes, my little chickadee, like WC feels her. This never fails to amuse her. Our intertwined laughter and the smell of the light dispelling the darkness. The pregnant cow delighted to see us. Thank you. And this is called Jerry Sweeney's Mammy. I was a very innocent child. I still am, haven't I, Jan? And
sometimes.
I didn't know anything about sex. Jan is filling me in now that we got married. I came from a family of 7 sisters, 3 brothers, and we all knew our birth stories without knowing anything about how they came to be. And I was 2 pounds. My sister was even smaller than that. Another sister had the cord wrapped around her neck, barely survived. And another one had the cord so thin, like a wisp of hair, that is still in Dublin hospital in formaldehyde, as an example of how thin the line can get without, and the baby survivor. So, my knowledge of it wasn't biological, it was an emotional thing. So I thought that a chap could have 3 mammies. And my definition of a mammy was anybody who loved you to that nth degree. And so I had my own lovely mother Rita, I had my Auntie Mary down in Cork, and I had Lizzie Sweeney up the road. By that definition, my dad was the best mammy I ever had. So Mrs. Sweeney had to take me aside and say, you know Mrs. Sweeney? And I go, yeah. You know she's not your mammy, don't you? And I go, what? You're kidding me. Couldn't believe it. So this is Jerry Sweeney's mammy. Mrs. Sweeney was Jerry Sweeney's mammy. And even though I had my own, I had her on loan. It was like having a spare mammy. And even when she was mad with us, she just couldn't be mad with us. Go on, she'd grin. Go on. You'd wear the heart out of a stone. And if you fell and you was crying, heart and knee badly grazed, or badly bitten by a bee, she would hug you up with all of herself. Come here to me, you poor little dolt. Wrap you up in so much love that would last for years. For years. Jerry Sweeney was my best friend ever, way back in the way back then. Still is, nothing's changed, except those young fellas have become old fellas who still think they're young fellas. And every time I see him, I could almost cry. I can still see his mammy smiling out of his eyes. Now, the man who means most to me. My dad and my sister, I was dyslexic, so I was reliant on people telling me stories. So all my texts are a person's voice. My sister used to read me a poem, and I didn't see it for 40 years. And the only text I have for that poem was her breath on my cheek, disturbing my curls. So, oral poetry was a great big thing. My Uncle Michael, on the other hand, was the man who influenced me most, because he didn't tell me stories. He took the world and he changed it. And he showed me how to create a world in words. So Uncle Michael was my treasure trove of my childhood. So we had my uncle's farm. There was a field fell down to a river, and the river was the Onagwee River. And there's a famous song called Carried Down. I don't know if anybody knows it. And it's sort of like the national anthem, so to speak, of Cork. Denny Lane's Carried Down. And my name is mentioned in it. So I was amazed that in the song, it was the river at the end of my uncle's field, and my name was in it. And I thought, wow, how could that happen? So this is called Singing the River. Walking with my uncle was never the ordinary process of perambulation in order to get from point A to point Z. We would sing our way west into the field as if the tailors soothed it with sound. On carried down, the heat is brown, we'd sing to it. The clouds are dark ordinarily, the grass listening with its 1,000 ears, and the field would swoon and fall down to the river at its border, which, as it happened, was the real-life river of the song, to kiss the slumbering Onagwee, as if he had sung it into existence, and we would roll ourselves down over and over until we arrived at its dizzy waters, dangling our toes in pure song. And now, with a quick uncle wink, let's walk home backwards. And backwards home we'd go just for the laugh of it, the yes of it, confusing cows and a few scattered clouds, trees and hedges tiptoeing away from us, the 5-bar gate with the sweetest, wildest strawberries at its feet, proclaiming, is it Magyar or what? And the next day, off we'd go walking, eyes closed, in total darkness of our own making, to sing its song to the river chuckling over its stones to itself. And the next day would be backwards with eyes closed, led along by our own laughter and the odd, mystified moon. Farewell, we tell the sleepy river. Farewell, leaving it dreaming in the sunset. Shh, shush their footsteps, shushes walking backwards. When Donald swore, Ior, he'd part no more. A storm would creep. Shh. Well, how did it read? Now, I'm a great lover of Gerard Manley Hopkins. So this is called Make Words Break From Me, Here All Alone, Do You? And it's to Gerard Manley Hopkins, my saviour. This is probably, without my, unbeknownst to me at the time, was my first public poetic presentation. And I was a sick child. I was often at home. I'd be with my mum, and I'd be making beds, peeling the potatoes, doing the chips, all her chores. And I could see what it was to be a mother. It was amazing. She just never stopped. And I'd occasionally watch television Sculla, and I'd read everything. So although I was just coming into secondary, I would read the Leaving Certs anthology as well. And I got to Germany Hopkins and I was finding it difficult to deal with Gerald. And Brendan Kennelly came on the telly. And it was lovely Kerry Burr. He started doing The Windhover by Germany Hopkins. And I was, now I understand the music of what it is. And I met him years later in a pub. And I went up to him and I said, Brendan, when I was 12, you were so important to me. And he said, is that right? And he suddenly put down his pipe and he said, I cut this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight stuffing. And I said the next line, he said the next line, we went all the way through the Windhover. It was a lovely moment altogether. He said, you're the guy who wrote the nitrous poem, aren't you? And I said, yes. He said, would you read it for me? And I did. That was a nice meeting with a poem. So this is called Making Words Break From Me, Here All Alone, Do You? Grabbed by my curls, my face forced into the telephone, flushed with laughter, they with great glee pee on me. This the sacred ritual of becoming a first year in secondary. They hang me up to dry on a coat rack. I am an all akimbo, feeble bag of flesh and bones, the fenceless nerd. Tut, 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 they tut. Reading Hopkins at your age. I dangle hopelessly, a helpless, broken puppet, the brute bullying, mastering me, Lord. To tear the Windhover, by Christ, from the anthology, stuff pages into my mouth, scatter the precious words in a confetti of hate. I call on Father Hopkins to come to my aid, and he gives me his words. I spit them out, speak with all the authority of his voice. I cut this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight stopping, dapple dawn drawn falcon in his riding. Shh, shh. They try to shush me in case Brother Finbar storms out of his cell like a soutane spider to see such poetry scrawled in a scream upon the air. But I am not for shushing. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird the achieve of the mastery of the thing. Shh, shh, they now plead. Here, buckle, and the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, O my chevalier. Shh, shh, they beg, but there is no stopping me now. I am charged with the grandeur of Germany Hopkins. See the flee before the glory of his words. I fling phrase after them, his words chasing them. No wonder of it, sheer plod makes plough down Cillian shine, and blue bleak embers, oh my dear, fall dull themselves. Gosh, it was Friday. We had just endured double maths, I hate maths, and a double English. And it was cold, sleety rain out there, and our teacher, Scruffy Loftus, was fed up. We were fed up, and we just wanted to be out there. And he started to introduce us to Chaucer. He introduced it in a very bad way, but still, that had me. On that April, with a sure soda, the dropped of March had passed to the rota, and bawd at every vine and switch liqueur, of which whereto engendered is the floor. One Zephyrus ate with a sweat of breath, in spirit hath in every halt and earth. The tender crop is and the youngest son, and in the ram is half-course run. Never did help my dad enough. Always head stuck in a book. Donald, son, he'd call. Can you hold this while I saw? Ah, dad, well, me lost in Chaucer and his tale. And so the saw songs, but all I hear is, yo, the middle was a chap with 16 stone, and that fellow big and brawn and bone. The saw cuts through the afternoon, pauses, then, Chaucer's on again. He did well out of it, and he could go and win the ram at any wrestling show. Say what? Oh, don't get me wrong. I adore the aesthetic beauty of sawdust floating in a universe of its own, suspended in sunlight and shadow. The smell of pine kidnapping my mind, the green dance of a bubble in a spirit level. I was a boy on a mission. Didn't have time for all the hammering and sawing. I was a boy on a mission ever since our teacher, sighing, oh, I don't know why I teach you scruff Chaucer. You'll never read the book. But by the weekend, furious at the rebuff, I had my poor old Dad, only getting begrudging help. Upon that April, the words falling like gentle rain upon my mind, with a sure as sota, the drop of March, words, words, oh sweet words, have passed to the rota, my mind, bawed at every vine and switch liqueur, the bubble and the spirit level poised perfectly, perfectly poised, of which for two, and children, is the floor. Thank you. We're not that far away from the next string, so don't worry. Now, when I wrote this book, I was coming up to 60, and I thought I'd write a book of all the Donalls I've ever been. Donal age 3, 7, 23, and then 60. And then my younger brother died of a heart attack, and my aged father died shortly after that, and became a book of grief and loss and memory. But this is the original start of the book, which is now at the back. It's called Now We Is 60. I was an agency school teacher, and you're put in there, might be a 2-hour class, and there's no work left for you. So you have to make it up on the spot, 2 hours, and the only thing you can do is ask the kids, and hopefully, well, they never can. So I said to them, okay guys, what were you doing last week? And they all was silent. Because they didn't want to tell you in case you meant to do it again. And then a little nerd at the back of the class said, please sir, we was doing the spinach armada. And I said, the spinach armada? Right, so the next day I brought in a whole lot of spinach and Seville oranges, and we bombarded the spinach armada. And I said, all right, what were you doing this week? And they said, nothing again. Little nerd at the back. Please sir, Anne of Cleavage. And I thought, I'm not even going to go there. Bloody hell. And it just got worse and worse. I was then in year 8, and everybody was speaking with an OR pirate voice. And we were miles away from National Pirate Day or National Eye Patch Day. And I couldn't understand why everybody was doing this. So I was going, okay, as you can see, the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sun. Yes? OR, sir. Would that be Pythagoras' theorem? And I thought, right, I've got to put this in that thing. And I said, OR, yes, as you can see, the sails on the good ship Hypotenuse is equal to the sails on the other sides. And then it stopped after that. And the kid came up to me after class with a question. And he said, now he is 60. A year 8 child inquires how old I be. I be just 60. He gasps, my God, you're very active for 60. 60 for him is a distant planet in a galaxy far, far from here. Yea, another dimension. I smile my 60-year-old smile, perfected by now. I am starlight that will only reach him when he himself is 60, if he never remembers what he has long ago forgotten. And finally, so you can get a drink up that one, Richard, so you can get in the book. This is called His Wooden Leg Stares at Me. Grandfather Gordon, always scratching his wooden leg, insists it itches. Always a different explanation how he lost the leg. Enough to fill a book. Grandfather Gordon scratching the air where his leg should be. Grandfather Gordon's wooden leg, now a Tommy gun, a sword, a unicorn's horn. Give me my leg, you daft wee buggers! Begging for his leg back. Grandfather Gordon's gone, his wooden leg lives on, dusty in a corner. Thank you. Now, if you don't pay the drinks after that, you're a better man than I am. The ball goes AWOL. I only went AWOL in the army 3 times, and I had my first radio program, and I went to the sergeant major and said, can I have it off? I've got a radio program to do. And he said, Dempsey, poetry, is it? Poetry, let's say he used the mic, yeah? So come the day of my radio program, my first big chance, he puts me on guard duty. So I went, AWOL. And then when you come back, then they work you like mad. From 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, and they bring you to your bed, then they get you up at 6 o'clock again, and you spend the entire day doing hard labour. But of course, when 12 o'clock came, I would go down the drain pipe and go up and see my girlfriend in Dublin, hitch up the Dublin for 2 hours, and then come back just in time to be put out again for 6 o'clock. AWOL means a lot to me. Ball goes AWOL. Oh, yes. Now, when I wrote this poem, I thought, why on earth is time wagging its tail and bringing this memory back in its mouth as if it's a fantastic prize? It's the most ordinary little thing. I wished it brought my sister's voice back. I wished it brought more memories of it back. But no, you get this tiny, little, insignificant memory. And all it is I'm playing handball in the 7th. I'm playing handball with Sam the collie dog outside my uncle's whitewash cottage in Cork. And that's it. But I realised why. Because I am so immersed in the moment that there's no difference between me, the dog, the ball, the wall, the sky, the birds. We were all pressed into that one moment. And it's a sort of unified universe. And that's why this insignificant moment is significant. Ball goes AWOL. The ball is laughing. It is having a great time being thrown against the wall. Whee! Screams its trajectory. Parabola, 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 hollers the ball. I throw it towards the wall, and the wall throws it back at me. Ball and wall and I having a fine old time. Again, shout both ball and wall. It is a fine thing for a summer day to contain. Human, ball and wall, all enjoying the moment intensely. Memory will warp the reality and morph it into the movie continually replaying, as if all happiness exists in this little snippet of time and space. Sam the collie leaps through the air and with perfect timing catches the ball in his mouth. Ah! Ah! Screams the ball. Damn! Damn! Shouts the wall. Hey! I holler. Hey! But Sam is gone, smiling all over himself. Where he drops the ball, I never get to know. The ball has gone AWOL for well nigh now over 50 years. The wall is no longer standing. Sam is now only a black and white photo. Only I and the moment keep happening in the attic of my head. Thank you. Right, this is Tilly. It's called Shortcuts. I can count to 7, she announces proudly. Wow, I'm amazed, as she couldn't count up the tree just the other day. Okay, I say, suck it to me. 7, she declares. Oh, and I finished all of the book? Wow again, seeing as she cannot as yet read a single sentence. Yes, she confirms, I've read all the full stops. My friend was dying of cancer, and she was very brave. Oh, it was a terrible death. So I wrote this for her. It's called I Am Amazon. Topless bather, one tanned proud breast, the other white scar. Unashamed of her solitary breast, I am Amazon, she proclaims. Next year, the other breast is lost. She bears her chest to all. Topless, breathless, she smiles at being alive. I offer myself to the sun, sans the emblems of woman. I spit in the cancer's face. Dressed now only in birdsong, caressed by the sun. Now, it's only right that I read a poem from my lovely wife. And she does everything. She even looks after me, for God's sake, and keeps me in check. No hard thing. So, this is called Of All the Kisses in All the Worlds, and she had to walk smack into mine. I kissed you in Islip and Liss, then once again in Swedling, Shipton and Peshore. Wherever I kissed you, I only ever wanted to kiss you more. I kissed you in Amberley and Arundel. Once I kissed you in Swale and Sway. I kissed you all over in many various places that I cannot remember today. I only remember the kisses scattered all over England, refusing to fade away. That's true, I do. miss you continuously, don't I?
Yep,
Yeah.
all day.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of
You
course.
mentioned Sway.
Yeah.
Do you know the tower? Or
No,
is
I
it-
don't.
Both of them.
Yes, well, you better enlighten him.
Go on.
I know the tower very well. I've stayed
There
in
was
there.
a chap who was into concrete and he wanted to prove that his product was usable.
Yeah.
So he built a tall tower in Sway,
All right.
and that didn't fall over, so he built an even taller tower, which she actually for sale at the moment.
No, we just passed through. I didn't see them. I was too busy kissing my wife. This is called the soul of the age. We were in Sutter Cathedral, and I was amazed to find myself in a place where Willie Shakespeare once stood. And not only Willie Shakespeare, but the whole gang of them. And all these tourists were coming by, and time just seemed to dissolve. And I wrote this for him. Soul of the age, which is what Ben Jonson said. Now is the summer of this our content, made glorious by love, the sunlight kiss of leaves, yet through a glass darkly I am told by old St. Saviour's bell, back to a December day, the Thames frozen from Westminster to London Bridge, where Will buries brother, young Edmund Shakespeare, on this the last day of the year 1607. I stand on the same flagstones as the king's men gathered in black, rub shoulders with Burbage, a hamlet come to life, a summer of tourists walking through us as the order from the Book of the Dead is solemnly intoned, as his younger brother is lowered into an unmarked grave. Ferrymen call from across the centuries, eastward ho, westward ho, as time slips loose of its moorings. Mastiffs strain at the leash, await the bear to be baited. Methinks I see the great globe itself, flag unfurled upon her horizon, the forenoon knell of the great bell, as I return to myself, and Shakespeare stares at a wall in Silver Street. Right. I used to look after a terrible lot of gentlemen who had been in wars, or the father had been in wars. And you notice the difference between the First and Second World War and just growing up enough to be in it. And this man wouldn't talk to his son, wouldn't say anything about what he had encountered, until the son was a desert rat and had encountered the same things, and then he spoke of them. So he used to get drunk a lot. So this is a quote from George Eliot's Middlemarch. If he had a keen vision and feeling of all ordinary human life, it would be like hearing the grass grow and the squirrel's heartbeat, and we should die of that roar which lies on the other side of silence. The poem is called On the Other Side of Silence. The war, I was so glad to get out of it alive, even if it was as someone else. Who I was died. It was the only way to survive. I became a stranger to myself. I'd been so scared I was going to die. Now I'm scared of being alive. I watched better men than me die so easily. I hated me for surviving. I still hear their laughter, how real they were, more realer now than I. The dead stare at me silently, envying me this life. Here, have it, take it, I scream at them. They stare at me silently. I feel as if I've cheated them out of their future. I got lucky, that's all. When I get to the bottom of the bottle, I put the screw top back on, trap them inside the bottle's emptiness. The passing midnight cars light up the dirty yellow walls. Wallpaper roses blossom out of the dark. I reach for the next bottle. They stare at me silently. I got lucky, that's all. And this is called Coming Back to the World. We launched this at the Arundel Literary Festival not so long ago, and I wrote this when I was down there actually, so it's nice to have it in the book. It's called Coming Back to the World. She grizzles down the stairs, each step a sob. I fell in his sleep, she announces angrily. Oh, that's good, I tell her. Is it not good? She chokes back the tears. I miss the world. Well, I smile, try my best to placate her. You fell asleep, I say. Yes, she cries. The world fell asleep too. So I didn't miss anything? I comfort her. Not a thing, I assure her. Good. She sniffles. I hate to miss anything the world does. When she was when she was first born, Jan will tell you that I sing all around the house. I sing badly, I'm afraid, but I sing for the joy of it. Drive Jan mad, of course. But I used to sing to Tilly when she was so tiny, and all the way up until she was a toddler and could sing with me. So there's a lovely 1939 classic called Comes Love. Anybody know Comes Love? I'll sing a bit of it in the beginning. So this is called Comes a Mousy. Comes a headache, you can lose it in a day. Comes a toothache, see the dentist right away. Comes love, oh, nothing can be done. She wiggles her fingers, she waggles her toes, tries to mouth the words. She gurgles in her cot, waves her head about, hits her mobile ties. I sing her old jazz standards from the first day of her life, from tiny tot to the toddler of now. She can join in and sing with relish and delight and demand of Daddy, sing me mousy, sing me mousy. Comes the measles, you can quarantine a room. Comes the mousy, and you can chase it with a broom. Comes love, oh, nothing can be done. Comes love. When whatchamacallit started, COVID started, I was talking to my friend in New Delhi, Sean, and this poem evolved out of the conversation we had. He's an ornithologist. So this is the tale told by birds. The civilization of the birds will prevail, and they will tell their eggs stories about how the humans nearly destroyed the earth, and how now they only survive in the stories that birds tell to frighten the little hatchlings, who don't really believe that such creatures could ever have existed. Buildings left to themselves as if humans had never been invented. Nature reclaims its domains, the animals return. The dinosaur takes the moving stairs, the pterodactyl hunts a bargain. And of course, my favourite book, I'm sure you can get some of that. Unable to read, I look up at my dad, telling me stories till the light grew dark. New stories, bright and shiny, cobwebs on a dewy morning. Old stories, round and worn, familiar in their telling, told and told again, a bell in a cold, crisp evening. Able to read somewhat now, I look up at my dad, the best book I ever had. And this is called My Molecules Are Revolting, but I guess you knew that already. Walt Whitman was telling me the other day, he said, I am large, I contain multitudes. When you die, the universe asks, can I have my molecules back? Ah, the big bang of death. Sure, thanks for the loan. Wonder what will be next, one molecule asks of another molecule. Who knows? The more articulate molecule answers. That's the beauty of it. The other molecule sniggers. This present formation has not been, shall I say, the most interesting. I'll wait for the molecules to shut up so I can get on with my life. For the moment they are stuck with me, though they don't care for it. Talking molecules and a demanding universe. That's all I need. None of you have that trouble, no? Just be there. I didn't write poems when my little girl was a little girl, which is a terrible pity, because all those lovely things have vanished. But every so often her voice walks right back into my head and she lifts the latch and she just walks back in like a fairy tale. So this is a little conversation I had with her. Again, a 3-year-old world is magnificently surreal, fabulous. The map of who we are. All day long, our heads stuck in an atlas. I want to be Argentina when I grow up. After dinner, she changes her mind. Is it okay to be France? At bedtime, she is tired of being land. I'm going to be the whole Pacific Ocean. Against the vastness of this, my child, I feel like a tiny, tiny island. I fall asleep by this little girl, or dreams of the map. And when I was falling in love with this one, took her 8 years to actually like me enough to want to marry me. So I never knew whether she liked me or not. And I loved her altogether. So I was trying to be cool and casual and hide the fact that I was falling in love with this woman. So this is called shh, don't tell him. Like a tree hiding in a forest, like a leaf hiding on a tree, like a river hiding in an ocean, like a wave hiding in a sea. I see, you see through me, and I carefully camouflaged love. I used to be a bookseller back in Ireland, and we'd go to houses where we couldn't afford to buy anything. Massive big house. And we'd go into a room that'd be lined like this, be somebody's private little library, and there was a big black room, black walls, with a little red skirting around the corner, just that. But it made you feel, oh. And they had uncut T.S. Eliot, uncut W.B. Yeats. So Doctor Who was busy regenerating on Doctor Who, of course. So I call this regeneration. The chair I sat in, like a burnished throne, transforming itself back into what once it was. A tree standing in a forest as the world wakes up. A table too morphs into its former state. The floor uprooting itself to stand with its fellows. Books shedding their words, becoming leaves on these trees. My library, now a forest. I at one with the trees. And the poem that gives the book its title, of course, is called Fox, the Whale, and the Wardrobe. When I was 9, my lovely sister Junie got killed in a bus crash. She was only 18. And it was a very stupid bus crash. It was a drunk driver managed to crash into the back of the stationary bus that was allowing somebody off the hotel. And paper screamed the next day, bus crash, only one victim. That was my Junie. It was all over the telly and people would say, that's you, isn't it? And I was totally lost. Up to then I'd lived my life in glorious Technicolor, and then I lived in black and white. And it was like the reverse of the Wizard of Oz. I led a black and white life. I used to do everything. I couldn't bear the world without her, and I did everything to either hide from it or try to get away from it. I was going to go to secondary soon, and I thought, I don't know my way, see if I missed the bus. So I walked into Kildare, got lost, and I passed the railway line, which I didn't know was there. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll put my head in the rail and wait for a train to come along. So I lay down, it was a lovely, brilliantly hot sunny day, and I put my head on the rail, and you could hear all the noise coming through the rail. And I thought, that'll be quick, that'll be easy. And somebody was going by on a bicycle with a transistor radio in front of it, and they were playing Cole Porter's Life's Great, Life's Grand, Future, All Planned. Yeah. So I lay there for half an hour, and no train came. And then it started to rain very badly. And I thought, oh, forget it. So I got up off the thing, I went down the bank, and a train came thundering past. So that'll tell you that you should never plan to commit suicide by train timetable. The train arriving to cut off your head has now been delayed. I'd also do anything. Get back to Jeremy Hopkins. His boyhood name was Skin. And Skin would often frighten the life out of his friends and his parents by climbing to the top of the highest tree. I also would do that. And you ever see pigeons on branches that can barely support them? That's the way I was like up the very top. And I throw myself off, and I survived. And I thought, oh, well, I'm not very good at killing myself, am I? And I would hide. But I wouldn't hide. I'd sit in a bay window. We hadn't any bay windows. Down in Cork, this is a bay window. And I thought, wow, I love being here. It's my own little private world. And my aunt would come in, stand this near to me and go, Dónall, where is that boy? And I thought, is she taking the piss or what? I'm right beside her. No, grief. My grief made me invisible. Or I'd be out by the milk churn. Be a milk churn. Me, a milk churn. My uncle would come out, Dónall, boy, where are you? And I thought, they're all just acting with me. But nobody could see me. I was invisible. The other place I used to hide is my auntie's wardrobe. Self-enjoyment back 40 years later. This is looking out my childhood window. As you can see, it's all rotten to pieces now. And they left everything just the way it was. So the tree broke through the roof. I opened the wardrobe, And there was my auntie's and my uncle's best clothes left for lot. It was like zombies or something. Ugh. It was terrible. So I wrote this poem. I wrote this poem in Porto, looking over the River Douro. There's a place where in the daytime, you know, there'd be about 20 people, 15 people, 10 people up in the hill. Come evening, bloody hell, it's packed with about hundreds of people. And they all wait for the sunset to come down. Listen, when this poem came to me of all places. It's called The Fox, the Whale, and the Wardrobe. I hide from the world. I hide from your death. Hide in my auntie's wardrobe. Gather the darkness about me. Dissolve into the nothingness I have become. No one knows where I am. No one knows who I am. Not even me. My auntie's fox-stole beady eyes alive with death. Oh, little boy, join us in this dark. My auntie's whalebone corset smelling evilly of pink plastic. Its white bone escaping, poking me in the ribs. Welcome me to the land of the dead. Whale and fox show me their dreams, the seas and forests of their lives, lived in the long ago. My sister's death haunts me, all through the ages I have become. Here now in Porto, high above the Douro, I finally write out the sorrow of my life. I still hiding in a wardrobe in deepest, darkest Cork, or up above in the tallest tree I can find, the land like a map spread out before me. The fox and the whale join me in my darkness, more frightening than theirs. The seconds fading into nothingness, the moments rusted into place. Now, somewhere in the future I could never have imagined, I return to the ruined cottage, trees piercing the roof's heart, invading the room of where I'd been, the old wardrobe still holding the clothes of the dead. Auntie's Sunday best, uncle's smartest suit, rotten now, eaten by time. Oh, little boy, you've come back. The foxglove whispers in my ear. When I miss it, the corset nothing but a bone. And I cried for the death of summer. I cried for the death of the war. The fox and the whale join them in this darkness they could not have ever imagined. The little boy could never have envisaged the man I have become. I come to comfort the 9-year-old I was. This 67-year-old self trying to make amends for all the pain he had to endure, crying to a heaven not willing to hear him. His tears, my tears. I gather the darkness around me. Thank you. We're coming to the end now, so don't be bothered. I'll have to read another poem about my uncle. It's called Be the Holy Dublin. Uncle's old hat, inhabited now by a feral black cat. I remember the laugh always fixed beneath that hat, forever tilted back, ready with a quick quip, tongue in cheek, his green corduroy trousers, nothing but rags to shine shoes. First colour photo we'd ever seen, those green corduroys, were really green, as if the photo was necessary to prove it. Attack him with a pin, the dirt crop and the green ridges. See that tree? You tell me. That used to be me, but I grew out of it. Words loved him and would do anything he said. I, the small boy, wearing the fabled hat, in the act of being him, wearing the much too big green corduroys rolled up, held up by braces. Be the hokey, I'd exclaim, quoting him. Be the holy Dublin, his catchphrases on my lips, creasing him up. Hey, you little tramp, pretending to be mad. You're better than that Charlie Chaplin. Me bathing his feet in the basin after he put the cows to bed. A black cat inhabits the now, curled up in Mikey's hat. So you can bear with me, I've lost my place. Right, this is called, we'll finish with this one. This is called Don't Forget to Write. Okay then, I'll be off, says the poem awkwardly. Thanks for bringing me into being, it shyly says, not really knowing how to say goodbye. Think nothing of it, I hear myself say in a blasé way. Me at loss for words. Funny that. Sad we have to go our separate ways. Well, my time here is done, the poem almost cries, but doesn't. tears in its eyes, tears that can never fall. I kiss it with my voice, the many-headed audience all ears. Make me proud, I whisper to it as it leaves my mouth. Who was that mass poem? The audience gasps. I blow the poem a kiss, the audience thinks it's for them. Don't forget, the poem throws over its shoulder, now very far away. Don't forget to write. Thank you.